What happens when a simpleton meets a magical golden goose? Welcome, little friends, to the fairy tale The Golden Goose, where unexpected magic unfolds in the funniest ways. A poor young man, often called a simpleton, suddenly becomes a hero thanks to a golden goose with a very sticky secret. What will happen when people, one by one, get stuck together and chase each other all over town? This story is full of laughter, surprises, and a sprinkle of magic. Let the adventure begin. Once upon a time, there was a man who had 3 sons. The youngest was called Simpleton. He was often looked down on, mocked, and whenever there was work to be done, no one paid any attention to him. One day, the eldest son wanted to go into the forest to chop wood. Before he left, his mother gave him a delicious egg cake and a bottle of wine to take along to eat and drink when he grew hungry and thirsty. As soon as he entered the forest, a little old man with silver hair greeted him and said, "Please give me a piece of cake from your bag and let me have a sip of wine. I am so hungry and thirsty." But the clever fellow replied, "If I give you my cake and wine, I'll be left with nothing. You can go your own way." Then he left the old man standing there and went on his way. After chopping for a while, he suddenly slipped and the axe cut into his arm, so he had to return home to bandage it. That accident was caused by the little silver-haired old man. Then the second son went into the woods. The mother again gave him an egg cake and a bottle of wine, just like she did for the eldest. He too encountered the little old man with silver hair, who asked him for a piece of cake and a sip of wine. But the second son said something that sounded very reasonable. "If I give you something, I won't have it myself. You can go your own way." And he too left the old man standing there and walked on. Of course, he couldn't avoid punishment. Just after he struck a few blows, he suddenly swung the axe into his own leg and had to be carried home. Then Simpleton asked his father, "Father, please let me go to the forest to chop wood once." The father replied, "Your 2 brothers were injured doing that, so don't go." "You know nothing about chopping wood." Simpleton begged and begged until his father finally said, "If you want to go, go. Only through failure and pain does one learn wisdom." The mother gave him a roasted ash cake and a bottle of sour beer. As soon as he entered the forest, the little silver-haired old man appeared again and said, "Give me a piece of cake and a sip of wine from your bottle. I am starving and parched." Simpleton replied, "I only have roasted ash cake and sour beer. If that will do, you are welcome to share it with me." They both sat down. When Simpleton took the ash cake, it turned out to be a delicious egg cake, and the sour beer transformed into fine wine. After eating and drinking, the old man said, "Because you are kind and willing to share with others, I wish to bless you. Over there stands an ancient tree. If you chop it down, you will surely find something among its roots." Then the old man bade him farewell. Simpleton chopped down the old tree. When it fell, he found in its roots a goose covered in pure gold. He lifted the goose and carried it to an inn where he slept for the night. The innkeeper had 3 daughters. The 3 girls were puzzled by the golden goose and each wanted to pluck 1 golden feather. The eldest thought, "This is my chance to pluck a feather." As As Simpleton stepped outside, she grabbed the goose's wing, but as soon as she touched it, her hand stuck fast. Soon the second sister came grasping for a feather. She touched her sister and got stuck too. Finally, the youngest sister stepped forward to pluck a feather. Just then the two sisters cried, "Move away, oh my!" She didn't understand why, and thinking, if they could do it, so can I. She jumped in and also got stuck. The three had to spend the night stuck to the goose. The next morning, Simpleton carried the goose out, unaware of the girls still stuck. The sisters had to follow behind as he turned left or right at whim. The parish priest met them in the field and said, "Aren't you ashamed, you vultures and scavengers?" Trailing behind a man in broad daylight, he grabbed the youngest girl's hand, but as soon as he touched her, he got stuck too, and followed along. Soon the sacristan came, surprised to see the priest trailing the girls. "Oh my father! Aren't you late? Didn't you say you had a baptism to perform today?" He grabbed the priest's sleeve and stuck too. The five shuffled along when two farmers returning from the fields passed by. The priest asked them to help break free, but as soon as they touched the sacristan, they too became stuck. So all seven ended up trailing behind Simpleton and his goose. After that, Simpleton reached the royal capital. The king who ruled the land had a daughter so stern that no one could make her laugh. The king declared throughout the kingdom, "Whoever can make the princess laugh shall marry her." Simpleton heard this, and carrying the golden goose and his ragtag followers, shuffled before the princess. Seeing the seven shabby figures in a line, she couldn't help but burst into laughter. She laughed and laughed without stopping. Then Simpleton asked to marry the princess, but the king disapproved of such a foolish suitor and made excuse after excuse to refuse him. Finally, the king set a condition. Simpleton must find someone capable of drinking an entire wine cellar. Simpleton immediately thought of the little silver-haired old man who could help. He went into the forest and found a man sitting sadly near the stump of the felled tree. Simpleton asked why he looked so gloomy. The man replied, "I'm parched, though I've drunk everything I could. Enough to empty a barrel, but it felt like nothing." Simpleton said, "Then you can help me. Come with me and drink to your fill." Simpleton led the man to the royal wine cellar. The man jumped onto the giant casks and drank, filling his belly. And before the day ended, he emptied the entire cellar. Simpleton then asked again to marry the princess. The king, furious at the audacity of a fool daring to claim his daughter, set another challenge: find someone who can eat an entire mountain of bread. Simpleton thought, then went into the forest again, to where the tree had been felled. This time he found a man sitting with his waist bound by a leather belt, looking mournful. The man said, "I ate an oven full of bread, but I'm still hungry. My stomach is shriveled. I had to tighten my belt to avoid starving." Happy Simpleton invited him. "Come eat your fill with me." Simpleton brought him to the royal courtyard. The king summoned all the flour in the land, had a mountain of bread baked, and the man devoured it all in one day, once again meeting the king's demand. For the third time, Simpleton asked to marry the princess. Again, the king sought another condition: provide a boat capable of travelling both on land and in water. The king declared, "If you arrive in that boat, you may marry my daughter." Simpleton ventured into the forest. The little silver-haired old man the same one who had eaten and drunk for him, was sitting there. He said, "I did the eating and the drinking on your behalf. I'll give you the boat because you were kind to me." The old man then gave Simpleton a boat that could travel on both land and water. When the king saw the boat arrive, he could no longer withhold his consent to the marriage. The wedding was grandly celebrated. After the king's death, Simpleton ascended the throne and lived happily with his wife. And so, the Simpleton became a king. In the end, thanks to his kindness, honesty, and a little magic from the Golden Goose, the Simpleton married the princess and became king. The whole kingdom celebrated with a grand feast, and they lived happily ever after. What's the lesson? Never judge someone just because they seem silly or different. True kindness and a good heart are the most magical things of all. Remember, kids, being kind is always the best superpower. If you enjoyed this story, please click the button below to subscribe and give me more motivation to make more videos. Thank you, everyone.